She takes the easy way out. And that was -2, wasn't it? They're working on my mind. We jogged, and I said, man, I want to make it. I want to make a 5K. I want to make it another. I ran a 5K last week, and my goal was to do another 5K last week. And then I just obviously was on our own. Wasn't in a competition or anything like that. But I'm like 1.5 miles. I'm running up the only hill that I had to run up, and I'm like, man, no, this is great. I feel good today. I'm like, this is awesome. And I'm like, I'm going to finish, because that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried about finishing. I don't want to die before I finish. If you've never seen Overcomer, if you've ever seen the movie Overcomer, there's a funny part about that. Why would anybody do this, about running. It's a movie about running anyways. But anyways, long story short, I get 1.5 miles, feeling good. 1.6 miles, feeling pretty good, but going up this hill, I'm like, whew, this hill's getting me, but I'm feeling okay. I'm going to be able to make this 3.1 miles. I'm going to be able to do this. And man, 1.7 miles. Oh man, feeling pretty good. 1.8 miles. Something doesn't feel right. 1.85 miles. Something really doesn't feel right. 1.9 miles. I can't go any farther. My calf just locks up. I got a cramp, something fierce that just locks up, and I'm like, whoa, I know I didn't pull anything. I'm like, but I sure ain't going any farther. And that whole time, I was so frustrated because I didn't finish. I couldn't finish. And I was mad for 2 days. I'm like, I couldn't finish. Well, the more I think about it, the actual truth is I did finish. I walked all the way home. Well, it was more like this. Funny thing, Brother Brian, is when it was locked up like that, if I walked like this, I was fine. But if I tried to walk normal, it was like, And she's like, Dad, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, I'll be okay. Just give me that bottle of water. I'm finishing this race. You know what? That ought to be our goal for Christianity. I wanted to finish it jogging, don't get me wrong. I wanted to finish it running. And the truth is, I'd like to finish running preaching. But maybe I'll have to walk. Maybe I'll have to crawl. Maybe I'll have to be in a wheelchair. I don't know. I know my wife's going to do everything she can to keep me out of the wheelchair. She's stubborn as a mule. Wait, that was negative. But when we focus on the mark, we can finish the race. But you better focus. You better say, you know what, I'm not going to be negative. I'm not going to focus on those things. I'm going to focus on what I'm supposed to focus on in finishing the race. And lastly, I want to encourage you. I believe this will help you to not be a negative person. And that is in Philippians chapter 4. We all know these verses. I've given you verses that you all know. Some of you probably you even have them memorized. You didn't know that the Bible has the answer for all the problems that we have in this world, did you? I hope you knew that. I'm just trying to share them with you. I believe it will help us to avoid being negative, a negative person, or have a negative spirit, number 5, by focusing on the message. How often have we come to church? How often have we come to church and we've walked out the doors? And I know your pastor loves rabbit trails. I know sometimes he doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But how often have we come to church? And I'm not talking about just with me, with an evangelist, with a missionary, at another church, another pastor. You've walked out of the service and you don't remember a stinking thing that you just heard. You go Monday and you're like, what did pastor preach about again this week? What did we learn about in Sunday school? And you have to go back, Miss Suzette, and look at those little illustration papers that you help with the kids, and you have to look at those and say, oh yeah, we learned about love this week, or yeah, we learned about salvation this week, or we learned about Zacchaeus, or we learned about Lazarus this week. I remember one of those, I think you had one where Lazarus came out of the tomb or something at one point. I mean, or Jesus, maybe it was for Easter. You had Jesus coming out, and it slid, you had the little, I don't know, this recently, maybe last, it might have been this year. It slid out of there, and there comes Jesus, Hey, now I remember. How often do we hear it? In one ear, out the other. Boom, over the head. The other side, this side, that side, and underneath, wherever. And we're like, I know he preached about something, but I sure can't remember what it was. I'm convinced that if I offered $100 every week Now, I didn't tell you beforehand. If I offered $100 every week for somebody that could tell me what I preached about last week, we wouldn't have very many people standing up saying, I can remember. Now, if you knew I was going to give you $100, you'd probably say, I'll write it down. But then the problem is we'd forget where we wrote it down. Where did I write that down again? I tell my kids all the time, hey, they're not very nice. This is negative. But I said, don't forget to remind me that I need to do that tomorrow. You know what they do, stinkers? They go, hey, Dad, don't forget you need to do that tomorrow. I meant tomorrow. You've got to focus on the message. We know what we're supposed to do. We want to be positive. We know how to be positive. Say, how do we know that? Look at Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. Finally, brethren, whatsoever things are negative, whatsoever things are disgusting, whatsoever things are horrible, whatsoever things are wicked. Wait, I got the wrong Bible, don't I? Whatsoever things are gossip, whatsoever things are condescending. That's a big word. I don't even know what it means, but it was a big word. I used it. Did I use it in the right context? I think I did, didn't I? Awesome. I'm learning. But you know I'm trying to be funny, but it's not funny, is it? It's really not funny. Well, I thought that's what I was supposed to focus on. All the problems. No. Paul says, finally, brethren, whatsoever things are true. Do half of what we spread, do we know that it's true? I wonder sometimes. We take what we hear and we spread it along to somebody else. And it becomes telephone. The telephone game. By the time we're done, it's something crazy off the wall. That isn't what was said. That's not the truth. Whatsoever things are true. Whatsoever things are honest. Whatsoever things are just. Whatsoever things are pure. Whatsoever things are lovely. Whatsoever things are of good report. If there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. What I say? Focus on the mind. Remember the message. Focus on the message. The message is, you know what? That wasn't a pure thought. That guy, I wish he'd just drop over dead. That's not negative. I wish that person would just get their car out of the way. What are they doing? Whatsoever things are true. Whatsoever things are honest. You know what the funny thing about that is I was frustrated about somebody whose cars broke down in the middle of the road. What would happen if that was our car? We would want people to be sympathetic. We would want people to be understanding. We would want people to be patient. We would want people to be kind. In fact, we might want some people to run over to the gas station and help push a car out, like we did last week at Vacation Bible School, you all did last week. I'm watching my guys. I'm like, I'm proud of my guys. There were a couple guys that ran over to the gas station and tried to help somebody. You know, I think they were just wanting brownie points or something, or I don't know, but no, I'm just kidding. There was a police officer there, so they're probably wanting him to be nice to them. No. They went over and helped. Why? Because, well, they shouldn't be driving that old junker vehicle anyways. No, they need help. Let's focus on some pure things. Somebody needs help. If we were in that situation, we would hope that somebody would help us push the car. I know what I would do. I'd say, honey, get out, push. I'll drive. Santa, get out and push. We need you. Focus on positive things. If we're going to focus on the message, it will help us to not be so negative. Those things, it says in verse 9, which ye have both learned and received and heard and seen in me, do, and the God of peace shall be with you. You want to have peace in your life? You want to stop being negative? You want to stop being somebody that nobody wants to be around? Then learn to focus on the message. Focus on the master. Focus on the man. Focus on self and say, you know what? I need to get rid of the sin in my life. Focus on the mind. Focus on the mark and say, no, I'm going to stay right where I'm going. I picked on Alexis about this, but the first time she went driving, she said, I can't figure out which one, I can't figure out where the gas pedal is. And as soon as she reached over down to try to find the gas pedal on the ground, guess where the car went? It went to the right. Yeah, figure out right or left. I'm from Ohio, so I can't remember which one was right or left. But She's looking down and, whoo, I'm like, honey, you're going in the ditch. Oh, well, I couldn't find the gas pedal. Okay. Let me give you a little piece of advice. Focus on the road. Focus on the message. Focus on the mark. Focus on, what are we trying to accomplish? Are we trying to accomplish being grumpy people? Some of you are doing a great job. Are we trying to focus on being negative about everything? Some of us are doing a great job. That's not the point. The point is Jesus Christ paid it all. All to him I owe. Sin hath left a crimson stain, but he's washed it white as snow. And my goal ought to be to say, you know what? I'm going to tell others about Jesus. I'm going to be positive. I'm going to stop getting in these conversations. I'm going to stop getting into this situation where we're beating and browbeating everybody else. When there's problems in my own life, I've got things I need to work on. I know. I need to be working on. Let me encourage you not to be a negative person. Avoid negativity. Take some of the advice today and listen to the message. And it'll help you. It'll help you avoid that negativity. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Ask that you bless in this invitation. You know what